say, I'm a little upset at how good I look in orange. I'm going to be prison bait for... Oh, hey! Hi! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race, Season 11, Episode 4, and all I have to say is, Jorge, drink me! Ooh, look at you with a fancy drink. What's this one called? The Orange Wall Builder? Okay. Well, in honor of this week's episode, this is what we're drinking. It's the Orange Wall Builder. Now, I've got the recipe down below. You can look it up. Or you can join me on Patreon for $5 a month and see the tutorial right there. Basically, this is a glass full of ice with tequila. It's like a Harvey wall banger, but if you were building a wall down in Mexico. There's a tequila gold, natch, some triple sec, some bitters, natch, and I used orange crush, as in crush your dreams. Of course, there's a little lemon comb over and a straw, because who cares about nature when you're a Republican? I'm just saying. No one's getting through that wall. Seriously. Okay, so we started the week off by saying goodbye to Honey Davenport, God bless. But really, I think, in all seriousness, the queens were just grateful to still be there, especially after that six-queen lip-sync extravaganza drag down. I'm so serious. This is a competition, after all. I'm serious. If you want to win, you gotta try harder. I hate to agree with Taki, but I think she's right. Some of these queens better step it up. Seriously. The next day in the workroom, Taki was giving us her Agra from the Dark Crystal impersonation. Gal fling! Just me? Anyway, before anyone else could notice, that's what she was doing. There was Ru with this week's mini challenge, which was called, Why You Maddo, though? Why was it called that? Well, the queens had to impersonate Rachel Maddow. Not just impersonate her, they had to actually do a live news read off a teleprompter. No retake. MID looked thrilled, of course. Another person, she didn't know who the hell it was. God bless her. Maybe she would have done better if she had been allowed to impersonate a goat. Seriously. What the hell was that about? And fainting goats? Maybe they're fainting because you won't let them alone, MID. I'm just saying. I don't mean to pick on MID. I don't know what they do in Africa, but I know a little bit because, well, my family's Scottish. Sheep. I know, I'm bad. Now let's just get right back on topic. A cold read is a hard thing to do. You've got your face on, you got the lights on you, you got the words rolling by you, you got Jason and Bruno from the pit crew standing just over there all inviting and yummy. And I have to say, it's a lot to take in, but in Rachel's defense, I don't think she's much interested in Bruno and Jason. Oh well, more for me. Seriously. That said, Vanjie was the worst. Vanjie and Taki, they sucked so hard at this. Now, not saying they weren't thoroughly entertaining, but if they ever go on tour together, they should call it the Hooked on Phonics tour or get them to sponsor it or something. So it's no wonder that more than a couple of these girls came off thicker than two short planks, if you ask me. I'm so serious. I mean, on one hand, we have Colonel, and seriously, when it's spelled out and you're sweating through your talk, Colonial is about as good as you're going to get in a cursory glance, I'm saying. But come on, Vanjie. Sophisticated? Seriously? Shokapakoptical? That's the word in your life? Seriously. The one girl who seemed to have no trouble with the challenge at all was Scarlet Envy. But then, she comes off as a little snooty, which usually means they're edumacated. I'm just saying. So it was no surprise that she won the mini challenge. But what was a surprise was that she got to cast the main challenge, the Trump Rusical. She had all the power. And I know a couple of those girls were nervous. I'm just saying. Seriously. So back in the workroom, everything seemed to be going swimmingly. The girls gave the Rusical a listen, read the script, and then Scarlett started handing out parts. And that's when it all went cattywampus, I'm just saying. First of all, MID surprised everybody by saying that she wanted the lead. And I have to say my reaction to that was similar to Vanjie's. Seriously? You barely speak your own language, never mind another one. How are you going to be the lead? And then I reminded myself, This is the lip sync challenge. She doesn't have to speak any language. She just has to move her mouth to the sounds. It's all vowel tones. Which was my drag queen name in high school, I'm just saying. Brooklyn Heights surprised me by suggesting Ariel for the lead, and I can see why she would say that. She was cute. She looked like a Shandy, I'm so serious. But Ariel would have none of it. She was all for Ivanka Trump. And I think that's because she finds it easy to play white, spoiled rich girls, I'm just saying. Since the part of Shandy was still up in the air, I wasn't surprised by Talkie making a grab for it. I'm so serious, bless her. But Scarlett would have none of it. Talkie was meant for Oprah, and rightly so. Now, I understand why Talkie didn't want to play Oprah. It was expected. It was typecasting, whatever you want to call it. But it's a good part. Even before you read it, Oprah, who doesn't want to play Oprah? I'm surprised more of the queens didn't want to play Oprah. Plus, her scene in the Rusical was a parody of the beauty school dropout number from the original musical, which is always a crowd pleaser. So I don't know why Talkie was getting all her nutmeg up in her ganache. Seriously. Nina West couldn't have cared less about Talkie's ganache because she was channeling her inner Sally Field, I'm assuming from the movie Sybil, which would explain why Meryl Streep was there. Seriously. Brooklyn Heights was thrilled to get Ivana Trump, the original Mrs. Trump, so that she could channel her Patsy Stone and give us Ivana Stone, the house down, which is what she did. I can't do that either. As Rue made her way around the workroom to check on everyone's progress, Brooklyn Heights' dancing career came up again, and all of a sudden, Ariel started talking about her musical theater background. All of a sudden. Didn't that seem like all of a sudden? Surprised me, I don't know. But everything ground to a halt the minute that Talkie revealed she was a registered Republican voter. I'm so serious. I know she had some logical to her explanation about why she was, and she assured us all that she had never voted for Trump. But I have to say, as a Canadian, I couldn't follow her. I find American politics very confusing at the best of times. Case in point, Trump. Seriously. Come on, America. Something else that confused the hell out of me was MID going on about her being the greatest of all time. I don't think that she is the greatest. I think she's just a goat. I think she's just a goat, which I think explains why Rue wanted to slap her. But seriously, the lineup to slap MID starts behind me. Seriously. Look at these mitts. I'd slap you into another week. On a positive note, MID did seem to be slightly embarrassed by her lack of awareness, which I liked, because that means there's hope. Sakamalaya. Indeed. Seriously. Which brings us to Raja. Raja. You know, I'm so glad that Rue called her out on her failed leadership of her team last week, which led them all to a legendary 6-queen lip sync. I'm so serious, because she needed to be taken down a peg or two the way she was going on about her dancing skills. And I'm serious, I could see the writing on the wall before she even met Giannis, before she was even standing in front of the man himself. And then she did it again. She just barfed all of her credentials all over him too. He seemed absolutely unimpressed, or at least took it with a grain of salt, because he really got distracted with Brooklyn Heights, even getting her to do a little demonstration, which I think worried Raja a bit, because she seemed to be either upset she wasn't asked to do a demonstration or worried that she was. Seriously. In fact, Giannis even seemed less impressed with her after she started dancing and sucked. Sucked so hard, he called her out on it. And that's when we got part 2 of the story of Raja's dancing career. Apparently, this fantastic training all happened 15 years ago. Giannis was not impressed. Neither was Raja, but for totally different reasons. Someone else who seemed to be a horrible dancer was Scarlet Envy. Maybe it was because she didn't have a drink in her hand. Maybe it was because there wasn't a dancer straddling her lap. I don't know what it was, but I'll tell you one thing. She didn't have a problem with being a bad dancer at all. She was having a hoot and a half. And I think that's the secret to succeeding in a challenge. Just have a good time. Helps with the drink, though. Someone else who couldn't dance, at least not without a 1, 2, 3 was Talkie. God bless her. She just seemed to be stymied without some kind of count off the top. Everyone's different. Ariel Versace seemed to have a hard time rehearsing too, and not because she couldn't dance, but because she couldn't shut her head up. She seemed to be struggling with a lot of demons and fighting a lot of inner voices. And seriously, all in all, it was a very emotional rehearsal. At least it was for me. Speaking of emotional, the next day in the workroom, Nina shared her horrifying experience in university being threatened. It was awful. I have to say, her reaction to it, not at the time because she seemed scared, I mean, clearly, but to the event now as a person is absolutely lovely. To use it as an impetus to make change and not be a victim or allow other victims to feel the same way. I'm serious. She's such a beautiful person inside. Here's to you, Nina West. Good for you. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, but look at all the good you do because of it. Seriously. It's doing a lot of good too. And here's to MID too, poor thing. You know, we forget 9/11 affected everybody. The whole earth is different since 9/11. Most people, especially North Americans, think it only really affected America. But if you're a person of color or you have a name that sounds a certain way, traveling, just basic traveling, border crossing, has become a huge event, in some cases a deniable event. I mean, seriously, how could MID be a threat to America? Put her on a no-fly list. She doesn't even know who Ivanka Trump is. I'm so serious. Poor MID being so emotional. I can understand why she wouldn't want to talk about her religion, especially in America, because seriously, some people just color the world with one brush. I use my fingers. And then it was time for the runway with special guest judges Tiffany New York Pollard and Joel McHale. First up, Trump, the Rusical. My standouts in this were, of course, Evie as Kellyanne Conway. Her unsettling little floor dance threw me. I don't mind telling you. Nina as Sarah Huckabee, priceless. Her face just killed me in a good way. Also, I have to say, Plastic Tiara surprised me as Melania Trump. I didn't even recognize her out of the gate. So good job on the makeup, Plastic. Of course, Brooklyn's Ivana Trump, channeled through Patsy Stone, was giving us beehive arabesque freshness, which is something I assume happens around Ivana Trump a lot. I'm just saying. Of course, Talkie's Oprah was delicious, as everyone knew it would be, except Talkie. And Ariel surprised the hell out of me. For all her misgivings, she did an excellent job as Shandy. I wouldn't have thought at any time during the course of putting that show together that she had been nervous about being that character. Seriously, here's to you, Ariel. Stop doubting yourself. You're good. You're too good to doubt yourself. Then it was on to the runway, or as I like to call it, the longest couple of hours of Michelle Visage's life. I'm so serious. Joel McHale. Oh, talk about poking a bear. Seriously. I couldn't believe how much he was irritating poor Michelle Visage. And that said, I'm surprised she didn't rip his throat out. I'm so serious. Forget RuPaul. Next year, I think that Michelle Visage deserves that Emmy. I'm so serious. So whose runway did I like? Well, of course I loved Evie's citrus clown. It was delicious and horrifying. Who else is afraid of clowns now? I adored Akira's creamsicle sex on a stick Vegas Cher look, of course, because anytime I can make a Cher reference, I feel a little better about myself. Just saying. Talkie looked fabulous, even if her dress was a little too tight for her to make it down that runway. I'm so serious. Not that she had problems using her time. Vanjie looked great, even if that headpiece did seem a little heavy for her, or maybe the balance was off. It just seemed that she was lurching down the runway just a little bit for me. But she did look good, I have to say. The one thing, though, that I think was a disappointment about Vanjie this week was her performance as Rosie O'Donnell. It's like you could see her counting in her head or thinking like even though she had the glasses on and the outfit, there was nothing going on here. And I have to say, I don't know if that's because that's how Vanjie paints, because she does seem like a bit of a doll, like a little distance when she has all of her makeup on. But still, I agree with the judges. Her Rosie O'Donnell wasn't fabulous. I'm so serious. What was fabulous was finding out that Tiffany New York Pollard has a penchant to muff snuff Rosie O'Donnell. Did you? I was just like, what? I've had too many drinks. What did she just say? I think that if Vanjie had known that going in, she would have done a better job. I'm just saying. Seriously. Brooklyn Heights was giving us all kinds of fruit leather dominatrix realness, which, of course, combined with her fabulous portrayal of Ivana Trump, meant that it was a good week for Canada. Yay, Brooklyn. One of my favorite looks this week on the runway was Sugar Cane's. And then, I have to say, I just love the way she keeps surprising me each week. And this was a fantastic look for her take on Trump. In fact, I like this better than how she looked in the Rusical. That wig scared me a little. But this look here, excellent job. Here's to you, Sugar Cane. You keep surprising us, baby. Mm-hmm. The worst look for me this week was MID's, and I didn't hate it, but she did look like she was on her way to Mardi Gras, but not in a big city. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe down at the Legion, Mardi Gras in the Legion. That's where she looked like she was going to. And you combine that with her performance as Ivanka Trump, which Ru was right to call feckless, because for those of you who don't know, feckless is fancy talk for weak or wimpy. Two things I don't think Ivanka Trump is at all. Seriously. There was another look this week that I didn't like very much either, and that was Scarlet Envy. I am so serious. I mean, from the chin up, she looked fantastic. I like that look. But that dress, now, she said she made it. She was very proud. I don't want to discourage the children from trying. But try again. No offense, but that skirt, this is the problem I have with hoop skirts. People just think if I do a tube and stick some hoops up under there, it'll work. No, for a hoop skirt to work, you need a full circle skirt. You need something that comes out of your waist flat in a 360, so it can go over the hoops and not get those ridges. Do you see that? That's the ridge. That's where the hoop is starting on. Now, no offense, she did an all right job. The fabric was all right, but I didn't like the way it fit from the waist down. The top seemed a little tortured, and then those crystal claws on her, which were fabulous, weren't for that outfit. They were for some other outfit. I don't know. Good marks for trying, Scarlett, but not my favorite. So when it all came down to it, this week's winner was Taki Ganache. She knocked it out of the park as Oprah, and I have to say, I'm glad for her. Here's to Taki Ganache, her first win, and if she has it her way, it's first of many. Here's hoping for you, Taki. But, of course, the sad news was the bottom two, which, of course, was MID again and Raja, bless her. And their lip sync was Living in America by James Brown. Now, I have to just say, I was surprised that they used James Brown. Not that it's not a great song. I love James Brown. I think the girl did a great job with it. But seriously, not one strong vocal female has done this song, done a cover. Seriously? Tina? No? Patty? Either of them could have done a good job. Maybe they should record one for future episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm just saying. Either way, both girls gave it their all. They did their jumps and their splits, but there was just something about Raja's performance that was just a little more, I don't know. Even when she lost her wig, she did it in a James Brown style. Like, oh, no, I'm not picking it up. No, I'm done. And it was no surprise to me, anyway, that Raja, Shantae, and poor MID finally sashayed. She was circling the bowl for a while, no offense to her. So, what do you think? Were you happy about it? Sad about it? Do you agree? Who do you think's next? I'm worried for Raja because she seems to be in her head. And if Ariel keeps delivering, I think her being in her head's not going to be the worst thing for her. But seriously, I'm afraid that Plastic Tiara, as good as she's been, has been kind of tucking herself in the back. And as much as I'm liking Sugar Cane, she seems to be getting lost in the middle too. So it's anybody's guess who's going to be next to sashay away. All we can do is tune into RuPaul's Drag Race next week to find out. And then, when you're done, you come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, until next week, don't forget to like this video, because I know you did. Don't forget to subscribe, because why wouldn't you want to be subscribed to me? I'm a hoot. Also, don't forget forget to visit my Redbubble page where you can get all sorts of Wilma merch. Travel mugs, t-shirts, phone cases, stylish scarves. It's a plethora of offerings. And don't forget, I have a Patreon page. If you want to see a tutorial on how to make this week's fabulous cocktail, the Orange Wall Builder, that's where you're going to see it. At $5 a month. $5 a month, that's a fancy coffee. Buy yourself a fancy coffee and watch my drink tutorial. You'll love it. And so, there it is. Anyway, patreon.com, all the links are down below. Thank you so much for tuning in and saying hi. And until next week, miss me. Bye.